After a long cold winter of no PS3 jailbreaking, I have some exciting news. We are back in business. And I think the most exciting part of it is, with only one single download, you'll be able to jailbreak your PlayStation 3 in just a matter of minutes. Stick around, my friend. You're about to learn something new. This guide works for all models of the PlayStation 3 Fat and all models of the PlayStation 3 Slim except the 3000 model that are on version 4.90 of the official firmware. Take a look at this sticker on your PlayStation 3 to get your model information. For this example, this is a Slim Model 2001A. You'll need to have your PlayStation 3 connected to the wired or wireless internet, and you'll need USB storage that's been formatted in FAT32 format. As promised, everything you need to get this up and running is all stored in one single file on mega.nz. The file is linked in the video description. Click the big green download button. Give Mega a moment to get the hamster running in the wheel, and the file will be downloaded to your downloads folder in zip format. Alright, let's unpack this thing and see what's here. Right-click on the file and click Extract All. This step is optional but highly recommended. Backspace over the folder name in the extract folder destination. This extracts the needed files and folders into your downloads folder without having to deal with the subfolder moving forward. Either way, just click the Extract button in the bottom right corner to extract the files. Once everything's extracted, you can right-click on the zip file and delete it to send it to the recycle bin and out of your way. Insert your USB flash drive into your computer. This is an important step, so pay close attention. Make note of the drive letter assigned to your USB flash storage by your computer. Once you've identified the drive letter, you can close the File Explorer window that popped up when you plugged it in. If you need to format this drive in FAT32 format, double-click the GUI format file, and at the UAC prompt, click Yes. Another important step here. Before you try to use GUI format, close any open instances of File Explorer. Before you format your drive, make sure you have the correct drive letter selected inside GUI format. As you can see here, it defaulted to the wrong drive because this drive letter is supposed to be drive G on my system. Once you've selected the correct drive letter for your own USB flash storage, click Start in the bottom right corner. Don't forget, formatting a USB drive erases all of its contents. To format the drive, click OK to continue. Once it's done, your USB storage will be ready to roll for your PlayStation 3. Click the Close button in the bottom right corner to close GUI format. Cool, now that your USB drive is formatted properly, let's copy some stuff over to it. Reopen the Downloads folder inside File Explorer. I'm going to take this window and just push it all the way over to the left. Now you'll need to open the File Explorer window for your USB drive. I'm ejecting my USB drive from the system and just plugging it right back in to open the window. Then I'm just moving that window all the way over to the right to snap it in place. In your Downloads folder, you should see a folder that's named PS3 HFW 4.90. Double-click into that folder. Inside this folder, you'll find a subfolder that's called PS3. Grab that folder and drag and drop it directly onto the root of your USB flash storage. You're done with your USB storage device for now. You can eject it from your computer. As you probably already know, the BG toolset at the PS3 Exploit website has been down for some time, so we're actually going to make our own hosted toolset right on your local network to get this done. Double-click on the XAMPP or XAMPP installer icon, and at the UAC prompt, click on Yes to continue. You'll see this splash screen for the installer, and then you'll see a pop-up message. You don't have to worry about any of the information in this pop-up message, just click on OK to continue. This will take you to the XAMPP setup wizard. Click on Next in the bottom corner to continue. Slow your roll for just a minute and you'll save yourself a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff being installed on your system. The only things you're interested in are the Apache installers that are shown at the very top of the structure in the left navigation pane. You can uncheck all the rest of the items in this pane, and once you're done, click Next to continue. The default folder is perfectly fine for this installation. Just click Next again. Select your language from the drop-down, in this case English, and click Next. You'll get a message that setup is ready to roll. Click Next again to install XAMPP. If you get a pop-up message requesting access to your network, this is actually only being run on your local network, so it's perfectly safe. Click Allow to continue. From here, you'll be done with the installation and you can click Finish. This will automatically launch XAMPP for the first time on your system so that we can do some basic configuration settings. First, let's make sure that Apache can run correctly on your system. Locate the Apache tab on the left side, follow it over to the right and you'll see a Start button. Click the Start button for Apache and focus your attention in the bottom left corner of the window. If you see a message that says Apache status change detected running, everything's good to go there. Click that same button again to stop Apache running for the moment. We'll need to trade out the stock website that's there for the custom one. To do this, click the button that says Explorer on the right side. You'll find a subfolder in here called HDD Docks. Double-click to go into that folder. Inside the HDD Docs folder, there are some files and folders that live here that are just basically a stock website. You'll need to replace these. So go ahead and select everything that's inside the HDD Docs folder, right-click on it, and delete everything out of this folder. You'll need to replace these files and folders with some content from your Downloads folder. I'll grab this window and bring it all the way over to the right. Then I'm going to open up the Downloads folder on the left-hand side so that we can access the content there. Inside your Downloads folder, you'll find a subfolder here called PS3 Flash Writer 4.90. Locate that folder and double-click into it. Select everything that you see inside this subfolder, then copy and paste them over into the HDD Docs folder on the right-hand side. You can close out every instance of File Explorer at this point and just refocus your attention to the XAMPP application. Just like you did in the previous steps, locate the Start button next to Apache and click on it to start Apache once again. Let's verify that the PS3 Flash Writer is running correctly on your system. There's a button right next to the Start button and it's called Admin. Click on that button and you'll get a pop-up window. If you see the PS3 Flash Writer tool software, you've done this correctly. Pretty cool stuff, isn't it? Go ahead and close out the preview window, but you'll want to leave XAMPP running in the background. Leave its window open and just minimize it down into your taskbar. You'll need to know what your computer's IP address is in order to connect your PlayStation 3 in your computer. To do this, open up the command line by typing CMD and pressing enter. From the command prompt, type 𝐼PCONFIG and press enter. You'll see a list of IP addresses where your computer can access content over a network. The one you're looking for is called the IPv4 address. Make note of this information as you'll need it shortly. Hey, if you're seeing value in the video, don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Go ahead and insert your USB drive into the rightmost USB port on your PlayStation 3. Here's a quick and easy way to make sure that your USB drive has been formatted correctly and is readable by the PlayStation 3. In the Cross Media Bar tab section, scroll over to the right until you get to the Pictures tab. Scroll down with the D-pad here, and you should see the name of your USB drive listed here. If you do, your drive's formatted correctly and can be read by your system. If you don't, double check that you formatted your drive correctly. Navigate to the Settings tab in the Cross Media Bar and select System Update with the X button. In the list of choices, scroll down to Update via Storage Media and select it with the X button to continue. You'll see a notice here that you're updating the same version of the software that's already installed on your system, but that's actually not the case. You're getting ready to install hybrid firmware version 4.90. Use the D-pad to move the highlight from No to Yes and select Yes with the X button to continue the install. It installs like any other official firmware from Sony, but I just want to remind you that if you see this screen and things don't seem to be moving, press the PlayStation button on your controller. Give the install process a few minutes to do its magic, and your PlayStation 3 will boot into the hybrid firmware. Alright, this might sound a little nutty, but you need to reinstall the hybrid firmware a second time. We'll take a look at the reason for that, and it's called ROS in just a few moments. But just follow the process and trust it. You need to reinstall the hybrid firmware a second time following the exact same process. Quick note here, if you have any difficulty getting your PlayStation 3 to run the system update through the Cross Media Bar, I have a link in the video description to tell you how to do this through the recovery mode. Once the second install of your hybrid firmware is complete, you'll be back at the Cross Media Bar again. For the greatest success during the mod process, go into the Internet browser. We'll need to go to some of the settings inside Internet browser in order to make it squeaky clean. Press the triangle button to open the sidecar menu. From here, scroll up to Tools, select Tools with the X button, then scroll down to Homepage and select it with X. In the menu that appears, use the D-pad to scroll the highlight down to Use Blank Page and select it with the X button. Then scroll the highlight down to OK and select it with X. Press triangle to open the sidecar menu again, scroll up to Tools, select it with X, then scroll down to Delete Cookies and select it with the X button. At the confirmation prompt, slide over to Yes and select it with X. Press triangle again, scroll up to Tools, select it with X, and scroll down to Delete Search History. Select it with X, slide over to Yes, select it with X. Press triangle, go up to Tools, X, scroll down to Delete Cache and select it with X. Slide over to Yes, select it with X. Last one, press triangle, go up to Tools, X, this time scroll down to Delete Authentication Information, select it with X, slide over to Yes, X to confirm. Squeaky clean. Press the circle button to close the browser and at the confirmation message, slide over to Yes and select it with X. Now go right back into the Internet browser by pressing the X button. Remember how I said earlier you'd need your IP address and port number 80? This is where it comes into play. Press the triangle button, But this time at the side pop-out menu, scroll down to File and select it with X. Be sure that you have Address Entry highlighted and then select it with the X button to continue. From here, you'll be able to punch in the IP address and port number that you documented previously. Be sure to use http:// at the beginning of your IP address and a colon between your IP address number and port number 80. Press Enter on the virtual keyboard or Start on your controller. Your PS3 and computer will now be connected, and you'll literally be hosting your own jailbreak site on your own personal private network. Let's take a look at how this tool works. First, since you put the USB drive into the rightmost USB port on your PlayStation 3, this should read dev USB000. Next, you'll need to decide whether to use the NOR button or the NAND button to dump the internal memory of your PlayStation 3. Here's how you make that decision. If you have the slim model of PS3, all of them are NOR. I know, easy, right? All fat models of PlayStation 3 are also NOR, with the exception of model numbers that end in letters A through G. They're the earliest revisions of the PlayStation 3, and they are NAND. Since this is a PlayStation 3 Slim, I'm going to select NOR from the menu choices. As long as you see a message that says "Successfully found all variable offsets," your PlayStation 3 can be jailbroken. To check your system as it stands today and make sure that you can run the backup, hover over Run Checks and select it with the X button. Give your PlayStation 3 and your computer a moment to do their magic. When the checks are complete, you'll see a notification on screen that a patch file has been downloaded to your PlayStation 3. Press the circle button on the controller to go back to the internet browser. The system will take a moment to check the patch file and verify its authenticity. You should see a confirmation message that all of the checks have been passed and you're ready to start the NOR or NAND dump process. Move the cursor over the message that says either dump NOR or dump NAND and select it with the X button. This will make a complete backup of your system memory to your USB drive. This process only takes about 1 minute in real time. Once it's complete, you'll see a success message on screen indicating that your system has been successfully backed up to the USB storage. The message on the button will say patch your system. We're going to do that in just a moment. For now, just leave your PlayStation 3 turned on, remove the USB drive from the system, and put it into your computer. On the left side, I have a File Explorer window open with the Downloads folder, and on the right side, I have a File Explorer window open with the root of the USB storage. Do you see how there's a new binary file here? That's the newly created backup of your PlayStation 3's flash storage. Let's verify this file to make sure that we have a quality backup of your system before you modify it. In your Downloads folder, double-click the Pi PS3 Checker folder. Grab the binary file backup of your PlayStation 3 and drag and drop it into this folder. Also inside this folder, there's a file that says drag and drop your dump here.bat. What you want to do is grab the backup of your PlayStation 3 and drop it right on that batch file. The Pi PS3 Checker checks the batch file, the dump from your PlayStation 3, to make sure that there are no errors and that everything on your backup is solid before you do any mod work to your system. First, check to make sure there are no dangers or warnings represented in your batch file. If you do, I don't recommend that you proceed forward with the mod on your PlayStation 3 until you have a solid backup of your system first. While you still have this open, scroll all the way up towards the top. You'll see a listing for ROS 0 and ROS 1. ROS references the region of the operating system. This is why you run the hybrid firmware install twice. Both of these should have the proper operating system information for your dumped system represented here, in this case version 4.90. Once you've verified that there are no dangers or warnings and you have a proper backup of your flash memory, you can close out the Pi PS3 Checker software. The backup is actually backed up on your computer now in the Pi PS3 Checker folder, but you might want to consider putting it somewhere where you'll know to find it just in case you need it in the future. Let's get to work installing custom firmware on your PS3. Delete everything off of the root of the USB storage drive. We're getting ready to replace that PS3 folder with the hybrid firmware with a PS3 folder with custom firmware. Go back to the root of the Downloads folder inside File Explorer. From here, you'll find a folder that says PS3 CFW 490. Double-click into that folder. You'll find a subfolder in here called PS3. Just drag and drop it right under the root of your USB storage. You're done with your computer. You can remove the USB drive from your computer, close out any instances of File Explorer, and put the USB drive back into the rightmost port on your PlayStation 3. When we last left the internet browser on your system, we were just about ready to run the patch process. Now you can see why it was worth waiting. You needed to make sure that you had a good backup of your PS3 first. Now that you do, you can move the cursor over Patch NOR or Patch NAND and select it with the X button. It's really important here that you don't interrupt this process. Don't disconnect power to the system, don't turn it off, and I would recommend not even using the controller at this point. Just leave it alone and let it do its magic. Once the patch process is complete, you'll see a confirmation message on screen. You're done with the internet browser. Press circle and then select yes with X to close the browser. Back at the cross media bar, you'll need to power down and re-power up your PlayStation 3. Slide all the way over to the left in the cross media bar, select turn off system with the X button, and at the confirmation prompt, slide left to yes and select it with X. Power your PlayStation 3 back on. Scroll through the cross media bar to the tab for settings and all the way to the top. Select System Update with the X button to continue. Just like with the hybrid firmware, scroll down to Update via Storage Media and select it with X. This time you'll see that you have the 4.90 custom firmware from Evil.net available to install. Select OK to continue with the X button. No sense watching paint dry, you know how this works because you just did it with the hybrid firmware. Twice. Once the custom firmware installation process is complete, you'll be back at the cross media bar. In the cross media bar's Games section, you'll see that you now have access to the package manager. You can install custom programs on your PS3. There's just one problem. You don't yet have any custom programs to install. Let's fix that. Check out this video shown on screen and linked in the description and pinned comment to learn how to install Multiman on your newly modded PS3. I'll see you over there.